There are many amazing games on the front page of Roblox. However, not all of the amazing games ever make it there. And one in particular is so niche, even though it's one of the best games I've played, it doesn't even have 500 active players. Introducing Purgatory, a wave survival based game with unique fighting mechanics, skill ceiling, and many chaotic features. If you're interested, then stick around till the end of the video, because I'm telling you everything you need to know about. There are many things I need to talk about since this is somewhat of a guide. With that being said, let's get right into things. When you first load in, the game will ask you if you want to do the tutorial, which I recommend you do it as it teaches you the base mechanics of the game. Before I talk about the main game, there are two important things you can unlock in the obby. The first being Soul Mastery. Soul Mastery is essentially an upgrade tree with 4 different divisions: Deer, Wolf, Bear, and Fox. Deer specializes in movement and boosting your dash. Wolf specializes in damage. Bear specializes in buffing your health and healing. Fox specializes in a mix of speed and damage. To unlock upgrades in your tree, you need to buy nodes with points, which are obtained from playing the game. Each time you buy a node, the price of the next node scales up by around 15%. Since you can equip and unequip nodes for free, this makes it so you can have a fluid, varying build depending on how you want to play. You can mix and match nodes through different divisions as well, so you're not limited to one division. The max nodes you can have are 12 nodes. Use them to fit your playstyle. Next important thing in the lobby is contracts. Contracts give you a greater buff, but with downsides. At the time of writing this, there are 13 contracts in the game. Each contract costs 5k points each, and you can equip a maximum of 3. Your first contract is unlocked after clearing the first area, the second one after clearing the second area, and the last one after clearing the third area. Now I'll explain each contract. Insanity makes you insane every 8 seconds for 5 seconds. When you are insane, you get plus 7 damage and a shorter dash cooldown. However, it inverts your controls, meaning you only get a 3-second window where you can move normally. Dwarf makes you have lighter and longer dashes, smaller, and plus 3 lunge damage. However, you have 30 less max health and a shorter melee range. This would be good if you like mobility and lunge upgrades, but normally I wouldn't recommend this. The most useless contract is Recoil. Recoil reverses knockback and increases it, meaning every time you use an attack other than lunge, you get sent backwards. The only time I think this would be helpful is during bosses that are still, so you don't just keep moving forwards. But even though it's not really useful for anything, you can just walk to the next area. Recoil is a waste of points, plain and simple. Turtle gives you 100 max health, but heavily decreases your movement speed. So if you choose purely agility upgrades, then I guess this could pay off in a tanky build. Giant gives you 50 max health, 1 damage, 3 slam damage, and slightly increases melee range at the cost of making you heavier and a bigger target. Heaviness makes it so you can't dash as far and are slower. This is good for a tank and support build. My personal favorite contract, Greatsword, gives you plus 8 damage and an increased melee range. The downside is you become slightly heavier and all attacks gain an increased wind-up, including melee. This contract is great if you just want a good source of damage, as it gives you quite a bit of damage and the downsides aren't that bad. I won't be surprised if this contract ever gets nerfed, cause it's just too good. Speedster is one of the worst contracts. Speedster massively increases movement speed and melee speed, but the downside is it sets your dash cooldown to 8 seconds. Keep in mind, dashing is a core mechanic that you need to dodge attacks and survive. That's why I think this contract just isn't good, cause you can probably spam dash to move at the same speed and be able to dodge attacks in quick succession. Glass Cannon is the thing you think of whenever you hear trade-off upgrades. You get a whopping plus 8 damage at the cost of taking ×2 damage from any source. I personally like this contract as my build revolves around strength and speed. Only use this contract if you are competent at dodging most attacks. Also, never use this contract in harder modes. Dagger massively increases melee speed, however it decreases your range and decreases your damage by -7. This could be a good contract if you have lots of other damage sources, as the fast melee would overall increase TPS, but otherwise don't use it because it doesn't fit into most builds and would normally just nerf you. Spearhead is a very straightforward contract. When you're farther away, you get +4 damage, and when you are too close, -4 damage. This one's not really good, as I've tested it myself, and the range you need to be at to get the +4 damage is really far away. Vampire is also not that good. You get +5 healing after every 3rd kill, but when you take damage, it reduces your max health down to a minimum of 65. The healing isn't that good, and since it reduces your max health, I'm not even sure how useful it is. Black Flash gives you 200% crit damage, but it halves your current crit chance by 1/4. The contract is very good for DPS and pairs well with Rhythm and Bundle, which are upgrades we will get into later. The final contract is Lag. Lag gives you +5 damage, but your damage is delayed and you randomly snap back. It's not that good, but use it if you want. Now that we've finished contracts, I can finally cover the actual game. The base game, Classic Mode, is the mode you will usually play and is the best mode in my opinion. During the waves, you fight a set amount of enemies that spawn randomly around the area. Killing each enemy allows you to move on to the next wave. After every wave, you can choose from usually 6 random upgrades. There are 4 tiers of upgrades, that being Basic, Advanced, Legendary, and Divine. Keep in mind that you need to unlock certain upgrades first before getting higher tier ones. I'll speedrun this now. Basic tier upgrades include Power, which gives +2 damage, Precision, which gives +20% crit chance, Vitality, which gives +25 max health, Force, which increases slam AoE range and +2 slam damage, Range increases melee range and gives +2 lunge damage, and Agility increases movement speed. Advanced tiers include Riposte, which gives +3 damage to enemies that are attacking, Adrenaline, which gives +3 damage when you're under 50% health, Untouchable removes dodge cooldown after you dodge, Fleetfoot increases dodge range and decreases dodge cooldown, Shatter gives +3 slam damage and increases slam AoE, Health Pack gives +25 max health, Survivor heals 10 HP per wave, Deadeye gives +15% crit rate and +15% crit damage, Evade makes it so your lunge can dodge, Maestro gives +2 lunge damage, increased lunge range, and decreased lunge cooldown. Haste increases melee speed, and Brute Force massively increases knockback and gives +2 slam damage. As for the Legendary tier, some upgrades require a combination of basic upgrades to be unlocked. The Legendary includes Domino, which makes it so that knocking back an enemy with the slam deals 10 extra damage and dazes the enemy hit by the other enemy. Reaper gives +4 lunge damage and increased lunge range. Killing an enemy with lunge resets its cooldown and adds +12 damage to the next lunge, indicated by a Reaper icon appearing on your screen. Perfect Dodge, another one of my favorites, gives you a 4-second shield if you dodge within the first half of the dodge. This means that you can tank all attacks and focus on attacking. Momentum is another great upgrade, rewarding competent players by giving them +1 damage and +1 movement speed each time they dodge. Each stack is displayed by white orbs that circle the player, with a cap of 4. This buff resets upon the player getting hit. Second Wind essentially gives the player a second life. Upon reaching death for the first time, the player gets a 6-second shield and is restored 25% health that can be healed back. This can help you if you are newer and less competent by being a safeguard. However, if you are more experienced, then don't pick this upgrade. Assassin gives +5 damage to your melee when you attack the enemy from behind. Cataclysm gives your slam damage massive AoE and +2 damage. However, Slam's cooldown and windup are slightly longer. Cyclone can help with great crowd control because every third melee attack is replaced by an empowered AoE attack. Juggernaut gives you +50 health, pretty straightforward. Dismantle makes it so if the target is far enough, usually slightly out of your melee range, your melee turns into a longer range beam that does -2 damage of your base damage. Thorn reflects 3 times the damage taken to any enemies nearby. Shadow Step makes your dash near instant and reduces its cooldown. Bane makes it so that dealing critical damage executes non-boss enemies under 30% health, and also gives you 5 extra damage to bosses. Overload makes it so when you crit, you do an AoE attack that deals 5 extra damage. Bundle makes it so if you hit 3 or more damage, if you hit 3 or more enemies with the slam, it gives 100% crit chance. Chain makes it so melee attacks chain to nearby enemies for half of the damage. Black Hole makes it so your slam pulls enemies inward, give more slam range and +3 slam damage, and hitting 3 or more enemies dazes them. Phantom Step greatly reduces your lunge windup and dash duration, gives +3 lunge damage and decreases its cooldown. Phantom Step is great for lunge build. The last legendary upgrade is Giant Slayer. Giant Slayer makes it so you get +1 damage per 20 health an enemy has over 80 health. To put it into simpler words, if the enemy has more than 80 health, you deal +1 damage to them per 20 extra health over 80 they have. This damage caps at 3, but it also applies to bosses, so it's sort of free boss damage. Now for the last tier, Divine. The first Divine upgrade, Cascade, changed melee damage to nearby enemies twice. It also changed multi-hit attacks twice but for quarter damage. This is the best upgrade for crowd control. Sacrifice gives you +75 max health, but you absorb half the damage your allies take for them. I would only recommend choosing this in solo if you go for tank builds. Otherwise, steer clear of this, especially in 3 to 4 player parties. I didn't mention a few upgrades because there are 4 unique upgrades that give the player a new ability called a special. Every special has a unique purpose and fits into different types of builds. The first special, Warcry, stops the player in place for around 2 seconds to shout, buffing their allies with +8 damage for 6 seconds. Damage is reduced by 2 per ally, and after the buff ends, the person who activated the Warcry is stunned for around 1.5 seconds. This special has a 3-second cooldown. I suggest using this if you like to play a supporting role in party mode. The next special, Eclipse, activates the Reaper's upgrade kill effect and has an 8-second cooldown. This means Reaper can be more useful during boss fights. Parry has a 2-second cooldown, and to land this ability, you have to use it when you would regularly dodge, dealing your base attack damage to the attacker, resetting the cooldown, and adds to your dodge counter. If you want to deal as much damage as possible, this special is great for you, and especially useful in boss fights. The final special, and in my opinion, the least useful one, is Cleave. Cleave has a 2.5-second cooldown, and upon using it, the player launches a long-range, multi-hit attack that deals the player's base damage plus 8. The reason I think this special is not as useful as the other ones is that it's because it's harder to aim, not good for DPS in a boss fight, and the attack isn't wide enough to be good for crowd control. Now that we are finally done with all of the upgrades, I can finally talk about the main game mode, Classic. Classic is a structured wave-based survival consisting of a total of 15 waves and 4 bosses. You can either do solo or party runs, but keep in mind that the enemy amount, boss health, and certain boss attacks scale with the amount of players that there are. 4 players max in one run. I prefer solo since you get to experience it at your own pace, and playing it solo has personally taught me how to survive longer, fight each boss, and gain more skill and knowledge in the game. The first area you always start in is Farthest Reach. This area has 4 varying enemies that spawn at random until wave 4. The most common enemy, guards, have an attack where they lunge forwards with a telegraphed hitbox. Telegraphed hitboxes are indicated by red squares on the floor. Another common enemy you will see in every area are firemen. They charge up for around 1.5 seconds and then launch a fireball in a straight line towards the nearest player. The healer enemy heals 8 health for nearby enemies every 10-ish seconds. Make sure to target those guys, cause they can be really annoying if left alive. The last enemy you will see is the Giant. The Giant has 2 attacks. One attack is a short dash into a slam with a telegraphed hitbox. The other attack is a charging attack that has a short windup and no telegraphed hitbox. All of these enemies are tier 1 enemies, meaning that they can spawn in every area. All other enemies I mentioned are tier 2, meaning they are exclusive to a certain area. The first boss you encounter on wave 4 in Farthest Reach is the Giant King. He is somewhat of a tutorial on how most bosses will work and puts your reaction skills to the test. He has 2 phases. In his first phase, he has 4 attacks if you include his intro attack. When the fight first begins, the player has to dodge the Giant King slamming into the ground, where the Giant King will land in the middle of the area. Giant King has no special mechanics, and for phase 1, he runs around throwing out random attacks which include an attack where he dashes for a short distance in the direction he faces, then slams with the telegraphed hitbox, and an attack where he stands still and slams the ground, causing pillars of dirt to arise rapidly and randomly from the ground, which also has a telegraphed hitbox. And his last attack, where he charges up, seen by black fog, a charging sound cue, and the Giant King doing a running start stance. He then runs forward a long distance. This attack does not have a telegraphed hitbox, only a wind-up indication, where the player will have to dodge when he starts charging. When the player depletes his health bar to half health, a cutscene will play out and the Giant King will become enraged, becoming faster with faster windups and a new attack. His new attack is the same short dash with a slam, but he instead does 2 dashes back to back. the second one being significantly shorter than the first one. The goal of the enraged state is to help players learn how to dodge attacks with faster windups and to react to attacks, not to predict, as players will be punished for trying to predict when to dodge certain attacks. The next area you enter after defeating the Giant King is the Archives. Here you will meet 3 new enemies, Ninja, Beamer, and Mage. Ninja has one attack with telegraphed hitboxes where they do 3 consecutive attacks. The ninja will then disappear for a short time before reappearing. Beamer has 2 different attacks. One attack makes them charge up an attack for around 6 seconds, then shoots out a laser beam towards the nearest player. This attack leaves the enemy vulnerable and is not hard to dodge. Its other attack causes it to charge up an attack for around 2.5 seconds, then cause many small layered laser beams to fall from the sky towards the telegraphed hitboxes marked on the floor. This enemy has 2 easy to dodge attacks, but has a lot of health. The Mage has one attack, where they charge up for around 4 seconds, then release a white orb that follows the nearest player, disappearing when you dash through it, or it also disappears after not making contact with anyone for a little. All 3 of the mentioned enemies are exclusively seen in the Archives area and nowhere else, unlike the farthest reach enemies which are in each area. On Wave 8, you encounter the second boss, Archmage. Archmage has 3 attacks. One where he casts 3 consecutive strikes of lightning to random parts on the map marked by telegraphed hitboxes. Another attack where he summons rows of fireballs that move in the direction he faces, requiring the player to dodge through each fireball or move in between them. His last attack causes random parts of the floor to rise upwards, marked by telegraphed hitboxes. The Archmage teleports after each attack he performs, making the boss fight a lot more tedious than the last. When the Archmage reaches half health, he enters an enraged state, shown by a short cutscene playing. During this enraged state, the Archmage teleports much faster, gets faster windups, 4 lightning strikes instead of 3, more ground rising attacks, faster fireballs, and a new attack where he uses up most of his power to perform a massive attack, forcing players to time their dodge well. After he uses that attack, he takes a long time to teleport. After he teleports, his teleport timer goes back to normal. He does this big attack every 3 to 4 attacks. The most annoying part of this boss is that during his enraged phase, his attacks will overlap and sometimes be undodgeable without certain upgrades. For that reason, it makes the fight really unenjoyable and is my least favorite boss. Once you beat the Archmage, you enter the 3rd area, the Dunes. This area has 3 new enemies exclusive to the area: Big Head, Bomber, and Cowboy. Big Head has 2 attacks, the first one being when they jump into the sky, and after a little while they land back in the area marked by a telegraphed hitbox. Their second attack is guaranteed to come after they land. They slowly turn red, and when they are bright red with an angry face, hitting it in any way will cause you to take damage. But if the hit causes Big Head to die, then you will not take damage. Cowboy has a single attack. They charge up for around 1 second, then fire 3 bullets that spread outwards towards the nearest player. The Cowboy can also dash, making them more tedious to kill. The last enemy is the Bomber. The Bomber has one attack where they dash towards the nearest player and shortly after explode. This deals self-damage to them. This attack can catch many people off guard by letting them dash earlier than the attack is launched, making bombers a little annoying. On Wave 12, players will fight the 3rd boss, Sandwich. The Sandwich is a lot more unique than other bosses, because when the fight starts, she has her own shield. In order for the players to deal damage to her, they must defeat all of the undead that the Sandwich spawns around the map. The undead scale with +2 undead per player alive. The undead have 3 attacks. One is a whip with a longer range marked by a telegraphed hitbox. The next attack is a slam with a shorter windup, marked by a telegraphed hitbox. Their last attack is a charge towards the nearest player, designated by a short windup sound. The Sandwich herself has 3 different attacks that only activate when her shield is up. The first one summons a sandpick directly on each player after a short windup, pulling them inwards and leaving them very vulnerable. If the player hits the middle of the sandpit, they will take damage. However, you can also dodge the middle. In order to escape the sandpit, the players will have to spam dash and lunge to escape. Her next attack is bombs that are set in random places around the map. If the player touches one, it will trigger an explosion with a very short windup. The Sandwich can also activate the bombs herself. Her last attack causes her to summon a giant snake in a random part outside the map. The snake quickly moves in the direction towards the player, and each player adds another snake. When the Sandwich reaches 20 health, she fades back into her coffin and her health ticks down to 0 each second. During this phase, the players will have to survive the onslaught of random attacks she throws out in a desperate rage. This lasts 20 seconds. When the Sandwich dies, the player moves on to the next area, Castle Rock. Castle Rock introduces 3 new enemies exclusive to that area. This includes Clanker, Frostcaster, and Knight. Clanker has 2 attacks. One is a spinning charge, which is indicated by the wind-up sound cue and a visual cue, and a self-destruct, which deals a lot of damage, has massive area, but it takes 10 to 12 seconds to actually explode, and it can only be activated under 25% health. Frostcaster has 2 attacks. The first one makes them summon an AoE ice block marked by a telegraph hitbox that can freeze the player. The second one makes them summon a wall of ice in the direction of the player, which then moves slowly towards them. The Knight has 2 attacks as well. First, they can perform a dash towards the player, where they shortly slash in front of them, marked by a telegraphed hitbox. This attack can be performed multiple times in a row in quick succession, up to 3 times, and can freeze the player. Their other attack causes them to throw their icicle lance out in the direction of the player, which can be seen by the regular wind-up cues for attacks with no telegraphed hitboxes. The Knight is probably my favorite enemy because of how cool it is. When you finally reach wave 15, you encounter the final boss, Bob. Bob has 4 attacks in his first phase. When the fight first starts, he begins the fight by attacking you, using his main attack where he disappears, then does a big AoE slash on the player, requiring them to dodge because of its fast windup. His other attack is an ice stomp, where he stands in place, does a stomp and summons spikes from the floor on top of the player, following them. Each player gets their own set of spikes. His next attack has him stand in place and summon around 6 ice lances in random locations near the player, pointing towards them. The lances then slowly move towards the player after a sound cue. His last attack is a simple dash attack with long range that is marked by a telegraphed hitbox. Bob seems pretty frail and weak since he only has 1,000 base health, and his attacks are really easy to avoid. But when you get Bob down to a quarter health, well... that's the end of Classic Mode, and the end of this video. If you stayed till the end, you should like and subscribe. I've spent multiple days typing the script and a lot of effort was put into this video. Since I'm a rather new channel, your help would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching. See you next time.